Today, as we look at Matthew chapter 25, we're coming towards the end of Jesus' time of ministry before his arrest and crucifixion. And this is one of the last teachings that he gives to his followers. So this is Matthew 25, verses 31 to 40. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. Before him will be gathered all the nations, and he will separate people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will place the sheep on his right, but the goats on the left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me." Then the righteous will answer him, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? And when did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you?" And the king will answer them, "Truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these my brothers, you did it to me." So that was quite a long passage compared to some of the passages I usually dwell on. But I think it's so important for us to really take a few minutes to think about those verses today, particularly that final verse, verse 40. And the king will answer them, "Truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these my brothers, you did it to me." So this passage is actually quite personally significant for me. It's one of the passages that was really formative for me as a young teenager to help me realise that faith is meant to be something that we live out. It's not just about going to church on a Sunday and sitting attentively during Sunday school, but faith is actually about how we live Monday through Saturday as well as Sunday. See, what Jesus is showing in this passage is that what counts at the end of the day is how we've used our life, what we've done for the people who are suffering, for the people who are struggling, how we've used our talents, how we've used our money, how we've used our time to make life a bit better for them. And what he's showing us is that whatever we do for the least of these, we're actually doing for him. You see, there's this theological concept called the Imago Dei, which means that we're all made in the image of God. We're all image bearers of God. You see it right in the start in Genesis, and God says, "Let us make them in my own image." See, we are all made in the image of God, which means we all have this intrinsic value and worth. No matter what society thinks of people, they have worth because they're made in the image of God. That's why, at the moment, the Black Lives Matter movement, we should be passionately supporting and caring for those who are suffering as the victims of systemic racism, because we recognise that these are people made in the image of God. These are people who have been oppressed and victimised, and that how we treat them reflects on how we treat Jesus. See, what Jesus is teaching us is that whatever we do for the least of these, whoever society deems as the least, we do unto him. And that's our call to action. This passage should be our real motivation for everything we do. It should remind us that every time we have the opportunity to help someone or to reject them and to ignore them, really what we're doing is we're deciding, do we help or reject Jesus? That's what Jesus teaches us in these verses, that everything we do is done unto him. See, we don't do good in order to earn our salvation. Whenever we help the poor or the oppressed or the naked or those in prison or those who are sick, we don't do it so we can earn our place in heaven. We're saved purely by faith alone. But we do it because whatever we do to them is done unto Jesus. That's our motivation. That's what inspires us to act. We don't do it to earn. We do it to bless. So as we act today, and as we apply, think, how can you help those who are the least of these? How can you come alongside them? Particularly as we continue through this coronavirus lockdown, there's many who are sick or who have become poor that we need to walk alongside and do what we can to help them, remembering that as we do it unto the least, we do it unto Jesus. So pray and ask the Holy Spirit to open your eyes to those around you who society may deem the least, but who by helping you can be doing it unto Jesus.